Hello, it's Mark from SoonExistent, and games are my passion.
Clown juice.
Hello! It's that second video that I've mentioned before. Street Fighter. Ooh, ah, zippity ba. I know the thing sort of looks a little more different. I realized I forgot to actually flip it. So now all the words actually look like words. I was trying to find more video game shirts to wear, but I realized I don't have that many that look professional. So I'm just gonna be wearing any game shirt that I have. So that's gonna be fun. If you don't know what we do here, we do 4 points for every video game we do. History, real life significance, story, in-universe significance, fandom, personal significance, technically speaking, and future. Just significance in general, to be honest with you. So, let's get on with the first point. History. The year was 1987, and arcades were a thing. Games were in the business of being established for the greater good. The idea came about when Takashi Miyakama was developing his other game, Kung Fu Masters, that was a beat-em-up. This was also the game that had many different varieties of game cabinets for different arcades, I want to say. It had 2 types of controller outputs. Because it was refined to be a very simple game, it can be put down to a joystick and 2 buttons. As seen here. It looks really cool. It's really nice. Very simple. As a game designer, I aspire to have such simplified controls. Street Fighter was also one of the few games that launched esports. Street Fighter was also one of those games that at the very beginning was ready to be tournamentized. Turned into a tournament type of thing. And was one of the very best at it. One of the very few outside of Mortal Kombat. That's about it, really. And as we know it is today, it's still a tournament game that many people still do and train essentially their whole lives, whole childhoods to be in. Now we go on to the main story bit of the actual games. So at the start was just Street Fighter. As you may guess, it's a fighting tournament. As is all fighting games, really? Or at least all that has like a semi-level of a story. Not many fighting games have stories, nor characters you can really project on. They're more just generic, hey, pow, 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 type of, hey, we need to get somebody to fight. This will work. Generic body number 3. It miraculously started out with characters that actually you can get into. Characters with story. Characters with purpose that you can latch onto. They weren't just a cube and a block. Yes, those are different. Somehow. Don't question. So you have the poster boys, Ryu and Ken. Ryu being your average monk-style character who trains in the mountains to hone his skills to be the very best like no one ever was. And then joins the Street Fighter tournament to gain more strength to fight, essentially. I will say I will link a video both in the description and up in the time card like before of the complete lore of Street Fighter. Talked about Ryu. It's very basic stories, but what else do you need in the arcade cabinet that you can only go to every weekend because school is a strange place. Ken is Ryu's childhood best friend and rival. In the same way as Ryu, training to be stronger, he trains as well, but doesn't take it as seriously as Ryu, especially given his lighthearted nature and flirty attitude. But it doesn't end there. Whenever speaking about Street Fighter, there will always be a conversation that includes the very most popular character in the entire game. When you hear Street Fighter, even if you never played it, you know this character. Chun-Li. And believe me, if you've never played Chun-Li nor have heard of her, that's alright. You've dodged a bullet. Not that the character is bad, but that the internet is a wild place. And if you don't know who this character is, that means you're not on the internet as often. And if you're watching and you do know who the characters, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I applaud you for it. Where did I get this pen? Don't worry about it. Chun-Li was the first woman in Street Fighter, introduced in Street Fighter 2. I could go on more and more about all these types of characters, but I've also not gone too deep into the lore of everything. I've never been the best at getting the endings, because at a certain point, the character I fight to get the endings always end up being a lot harder to fight than expected. But believe me, it is 100% worth it. Especially with later games, where more characters turn out, more developments for the previous characters. For example, in Street Fighter 6, which is the most recent Street Fighter, Chun-Li runs a dojo and is actually physically aged since the first Street Fighter, which is rare with any sort of video games. This is our third point. Fandoms. Hi, how are you? I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't have much to put here in the sense of I kind of just wanted to complain about button mashers whenever I fucking play this game. Excuse my language, but at the same time, what the fuck? I understand that it has a bunch of, like, specialty commands where if you, like, the up, down, left, right, A, B, start, can fucking just one-shot you. But at the same time, if you're a friend of mine, and we both go in knowing I haven't played in ever, and it's my first time playing with you and this game, don't just whoop my ass the first round. Teach me the controls, then whoop my ass. Right? That way I'm not just committing to button mash just to fucking do anything. Because then that'll then just piss you off. Then piss me off. Then piss me off that you're pissed off. Like, I have it in my notes saying, just here to complain about the button mashers and spammers because those assholes would spam Haruken and call it a day. Genuinely. Like, if you've seen any sort of fighting game tournament, you understand that there are just some people who, like, overhype, like, everything has to be perfect. But, like, in a casual setting, no. Stop. Respectfully, like, you can be good and you can train to be the best, but at the same time, have fun, please. I'd rather not just kick you out and ban you from playing this game with me ever. Like, I will admit that what's the word? I will admit that I button mash out of necessity. Because every time I play this godforsaken game with anybody, I am fighting for my freaking life. Respectfully. But also majorly disrespectfully, because what the fuck? And this is where we point out the future of Street Fighter. So, this technicality is... Technically, we are on level game 6, but there've been, 20 games? 20 renditions of Street Fighter 2, Champions Edition, side games, mini games, games, like expansion packs with expansion packs, DLC for your DLC. Like, I understand Skyrim has a bunch of ports for very different consoles, but so does Street Fighter, but also doesn't, because they also have exclusives, which is very fascinating, but very intriguing. There's 6 main story games. That's why we're on Street Fighter 6. Much like Tekken in the one before, it has subsections of subsections. It also has a movie, actually. I will never in my life play it professionally because I like to bullshit when I play. Like, yeah, I know how to beat you, and I know how to beat this one character because I saw one video this one time 5 years ago. But I know it's more for me. When I play fighting games, it's based on the people I'm playing with. And with tournaments, you either have to see how they play, or you just have to be insanely good at the one character. I don't like being the expert of a single character. Like, a disservice to the other characters who don't fit the criteria of, oh, this character is bad for winning because X, Y, and Z. Like, what do you mean? In a tournament for money, yeah, I can understand that. But we're playing regularly online for a fake title. What do you mean? I will whoop your ass with Dudley and make you rage quit the game. I was just reminded that Shrek had a fighting game. I didn't have it on the list. At some point, I will get into console exclusive fighters. Because all the games I have are from Steam. Because I had to make the list one night. That way, one night a week before the first video came out. And I was stressing. Oh boy. And I will say, their character Poison is officially trans, and Street Fighter is one of the few games that confirms this. The gaming community is very weird in general, especially towards women. I don't understand why. So, that's basically the end of the video. Thank you all for joining me. If you've made it this far, thank you. Much appreciated. Tune in next time, where we talk about Super Smash Brothers, aka my favorite game series. I have a lot to talk about for that one. So as always, if what you want doesn't exist, make it. Fight it. Haruken. Oh wait, no, that's Kamehameha. I do kind of want to play fighting games more often. But it's always difficult because I don't really have that ability to. Because it still requires people. But I wouldn't be opposed to having a fighting game night.